The air is thick with the scent of metal and earth. Inside the resource flow command outpost, fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting a cold glow over the rows of screens and monitors. The consoles are arranged in neat arrays, each one displaying data from different extraction points scattered across the grid. I move through the space with practiced efficiency. My movements fluid as I check the status updates on the main screen. Outside, the jungle presses against the compound's perimeter like an unyielding force. Trees tower overhead, their leaves rustling in a breeze that carries whispers of humidity and decay. Beyond the fence, there are no clear paths, only dense foliage and shadows where creatures lurk unseen. The air is heavy with the presence of life, but it doesn't intrude on my work here. My shift begins with routine checks. I start at the central console, tapping through diagnostics to ensure all systems are online and operational. The screens flicker with data feeds from various extraction sites. Ore levels, machinery status, personnel reports. It's a symphony of information, each note contributing to the rhythm of efficiency. I move on to the communications hub next. There's an open line to the nearest extraction point, where the voice of the site supervisor crackles through static. Check-in confirmed. I respond into the microphone, my words clipped and precise. The connection is tenuous at best, but it's reliable enough for now. The outpost itself is a modular structure, assembled quickly when this operation was set up. Walls are thin, designed more for speed of deployment than durability against the elements. Inside, there's little beyond what's necessary. Tables, chairs, and storage units filled with supplies that must be replaced regularly due to wear and tear. The place feels provisional, a temporary measure in an environment that doesn't care about permanence. I glance out one of the few windows where sunlight filters through a haze of leaves. It casts long shadows across the compound, creating patterns on the ground like abstract art. There's no need for me to look beyond this view. My attention is fixed on the screens and monitors that track our progress here. Maintenance duties are part of the routine too. I make sure all equipment has been serviced according to schedule. The air scrubbers hum quietly in the background, filtering out the toxins from outside while recycling breathable oxygen inside. These machines require constant monitoring, lest they fail during a critical moment when their presence is most needed. During breaks, there's little time for idle thought or contemplation. Instead, I review reports on resource yields and production goals. Numbers are my language here, each one representing the efficiency of our operations. The planet outside might be alive with mystery and wonder, but in this outpost, those concepts have no place. The work is methodical, a series of tasks that blend into a seamless routine. Each action has its purpose, contributing to an overarching goal of maximizing output while minimizing waste. There is no room for sentimentality or emotional attachment. Everything operates on cold logic and practical need. As the day progresses, I continue my rounds, checking in with remote teams via comms links and updating databases with the latest data feeds. The screens before me pulse with activity, a constant stream of information that must be managed and analyzed. Efficiency is key, and every moment spent on these tasks brings us closer to meeting our objectives. The jungle remains outside, indifferent to the work inside this outpost. It's an environment designed for extraction, not residence. But here, in the midst of it all, there's a sense of normalcy, a rhythm established through repetition and adherence to protocol. And so I continue, my movements mechanical yet purposeful. Each task completed is another step towards achieving the efficiency that ensures this operation's success. The air feels charged with potential, but it's contained within the confines of what must be done. Harm fades as efficiency improves, and in this space, everything aligns to make that happen. The air conditioning hums steadily, filling the small room with a constant breeze. I sit at my station, fingers moving across the keyboard with practiced precision. The screens before me flicker with data streams and diagnostics, each line of text offering no more or less importance than the last. My tasks are clear monitoring systems, recording readings, and reporting anomalies. A beep sounds from one of the monitors, a routine check-in from an external sensor. I open the corresponding interface and review the readouts. The numbers align with expectations, confirming that everything is functioning as it should. There's no need for alarm or surprise. These are familiar patterns, part of my daily cycle. I reach for a clipboard on my desk, noting down any necessary adjustments or observations. The pen moves smoothly across the paper, each entry precise and clear. I glance at the checklist beside me, another item ticked off. Another step completed. This is how order is maintained, how efficiency is ensured. Outside, the jungle presses in from every direction, its dense green walls a constant presence beyond the compound's borders. Yet it holds no significance here, no influence over my tasks or routines. The work continues without interruption, each moment dedicated to the operational needs at hand. I stand and stretch, feeling the familiar strain in my muscles after hours of sitting still. A quick look around confirms that everything remains stable. There's no immediate cause for concern. My movements are purposeful as I move toward the equipment storage area, where maintenance tools and replacement parts wait neatly organized. Checking the inventory is a simple task, but one that must be done regularly to ensure readiness. Each item has its place. Each piece of gear serves a specific function. The cool metal feels reassuring against my hands as I inspect them: clean, well-maintained, reliable. Returning to my station, I resume monitoring screens and adjusting settings. A notification pings softly from one of the system alerts. Another routine update. Clicking through, I confirm receipt and acknowledge compliance with standard procedures. The day progresses steadily, marked by small milestones and continuous oversight. My presence here is defined not by personal conviction, but by necessity. Work must be done. These systems must operate smoothly. The jungle's vitality remains a distant backdrop, its sounds and movements filtered out by the walls of the outpost. As evening approaches, I conduct final checks before signing off for the day. Each screen goes dark in sequence, signaling completion. My notes are compiled into reports, ready for review and submission. The calmness of my work persists, a rhythm established through repetition and routine. I stand up, feeling a sense of closure mixed with readiness for tomorrow's tasks. This place is provisional, yet it feels solid within its purpose. The air conditioner switches off briefly before restarting, the hum returning to a steady pace. My role here continues seamlessly into another day, defined by the actions I take and the systems I maintain. The humidity outside presses against the outpost walls, a constant presence that seeps through every crevice. It's an ever-present reminder of the jungle's embrace, but I pay it little mind as I sit at my console, fingers dancing across the keyboard with practiced ease. The air conditioning hums softly in the background, barely noticeable except for its occasional buzz when cycling to a cooler setting. The screens before me flicker intermittently with data streams and system updates, their glow blending seamlessly into the ambient light of the outpost. I scan through reports, inputting numbers and verifying codes without pause. The jungle's dense foliage thuds softly against the exterior panels, a rhythmic drumbeat that echoes the routine of my work. Each breath I take is met with the familiar weight of the air around me, thick and warm. It feels heavy at first, but as the hours pass, it becomes less noticeable. My mind drifts between tasks, each keystroke and mouse click a continuation of the day's steady progress. The screens flicker again, highlighting updates that require my attention. The jungle beyond remains active. It sounds a distant hum that occasionally breaks into sharper notes, a bird's call, or perhaps the rustle of leaves in an unseen breeze. These moments distract briefly but quickly fade as I return to my work. The air conditioning cycles once more, adjusting the temperature subtly, and I feel it less with each repetition. My movements are fluid, guided by muscle memory rather than conscious thought. Each task completed feels like a small victory, contributing to the larger sense of order and efficiency. As evening approaches, I notice the light outside dimming through the windows, but it's no different from any other day. The humidity remains, but its presence is less intrusive. I finish my shift with final reports and system checks, sealing off the day neatly. The jungle noises continue to filter in, a persistent background that requires minimal attention. As I prepare to leave for the day, the air conditioning whirs again, a familiar sound blending into the quiet of an ending workday. The day progresses in a steady rhythm. My movements are part of a larger sequence, synchronized with others nearby, but without personal acknowledgement. We move through tasks like gears in a machine, each action timed to complement the next. The air conditioning hums steadily, providing a backdrop for our collective effort. I sit at my station, fingers dancing across the keyboard as screens flicker with updates and notifications. My gaze shifts between monitors, parsing data and entering commands. Actions are automatic, driven by routine rather than individual thought. Colleague moves past me to adjust equipment elsewhere. Their presence registers only momentarily before fading back into the background noise of activity. The environment remains constant, a blend of artificial coolness and distant jungle heat. As night falls, the rhythm slows slightly, but the sense of order persists. Tasks are completed methodically, each keystroke and command part of a larger system. There's no personal connection to others. There's simply other components in the machinery. As my shift concludes, I gather my belongings without pause or reflection. The exit is familiar territory, marked by habitual movements rather than emotional attachment. Outside, the jungle looms silently as always, its sounds distant and unimportant. Back at quarters, the routine continues, providing a comforting predictability to the day's end. The next morning arrives with no fanfare, each step in the daily process reasserting itself seamlessly. The sense of being part of something larger than oneself is present, but without sentimentality or personal investment. This place thrives on efficiency and coordination, and my role within it feels both necessary and interchangeable. The screens flicker steadily, displaying data that flows with mechanical precision. My hands move across the keyboard, each keystroke a familiar rhythm, a language of its own. The air conditioning hums softly in the background, maintaining a steady temperature within the outpost walls. Beyond these barriers, the jungle presses against us with relentless greenery and occasional sounds of unseen creatures, but it holds no interest for me. My mind drifts briefly to the task at hand, monitoring the system's diagnostics. The numbers scroll by, each one confirming the expected performance of our equipment. There's a sense of satisfaction in knowing that every component operates as intended, contributing to the overall efficiency of our operations. My eyes scan the monitors for any anomalies, but everything appears within acceptable parameters. Colleagues move around me with purposeful movements, their interactions brief and functional. They too are focused on their respective tasks, each a small cog in a larger machine. The routine feels predictable yet necessary, each day blending seamlessly into the next without deviation or disruption. There's no room for sentimentality here. Everything is measured against practicality and efficiency. As the evening approaches, I transition smoothly from one task to another. My movements are fluid, guided by ingrained habits rather than conscious thought. The shift ends with a final check of system logs, ensuring that all records match expectations. With a sense of completion, I save my work and close out the day's activities. The routine is comforting in its familiarity, a constant amidst an ever-changing world outside these walls. As I prepare to leave for the night, there's no questioning or contemplation, only the satisfaction of a job well done. This place thrives on order and efficiency. It feels sufficient as it is, without any need for change or improvement. My footsteps echo slightly in the quiet outpost as I make my way toward the exit. The jungle outside remains a distant presence, its sounds barely registering through the door's seal. Inside, everything continues to operate with unyielding predictability. This place is temporary but functional, and that suffices for now. The routines here are designed for efficiency and reliability. Each task I perform follows strict protocols to ensure minimal downtime and maximum output. The environment is harsh, but the systems in place account for these challenges. Humidity and heat can be uncomfortable, but they don't affect my focus on the job at hand. Every action I take is a part of this larger machine, each cog turning precisely to maintain stability. The detachment from my surroundings isn't personal, it's practical. The jungle outside remains unseen and unheard in my work environment, kept at bay by the physical and technological barriers we have established. These measures aren't about controlling nature, but ensuring that our operations can continue without disruption. The strictness of the protocols is a direct response to these conditions, not an arbitrary imposition. Interactions with colleagues are brief and functional. We're all focused on achieving our tasks within the system's constraints. There is no room for inefficiency or emotional attachment. Every moment spent away from the task at hand could mean lost productivity. This isn't about personal comfort, but operational necessity. The rules exist to stabilize and optimize, not to oppress. The oppressive heat may be a constant presence, but it doesn't dictate my actions. I adapt by maintaining focus on data, numbers, and objectives. Each keystroke is a step toward completing the day's goals, contributing to a larger effort that keeps everything running smoothly. The environment may pose challenges, but they are manageable through established procedures. The calmness of my routine isn't just a personal preference. It's a requirement for efficiency. Distractions and emotional responses would only hinder progress. Instead, I maintain a steady rhythm, ensuring that each task is completed with precision and purpose. This place thrives on order and predictability, and while the conditions may be demanding, they are also controllable. In this environment, strictness isn't a choice but an outcome of necessity. The harsh realities of the jungle are mitigated by our systems, allowing us to operate without interruption. Each protocol is designed to ensure safety margins and optimize output. There is no room for personal feelings or grievances. Instead, we adhere to what works. The predictability of my daily routine offers a sense of stability in an unpredictable world. The tasks I perform are repetitive but essential, contributing to the larger mission of maintaining order and efficiency. This system isn't perfect, but it functions effectively within its constraints. The rigidity serves a purpose, ensuring that our operations remain consistent and reliable. As the day progresses, there's no need for reflection or questioning. Instead, I find comfort in the familiar patterns. Each shift is another step forward, building on the stability we have established. This place isn't just about survival, but also about maintaining order amidst chaos. The strictness of our protocols ensures that every moment counts toward achieving our goals. This works because it has to. The operational parameters are clear and consistent. Each day's throughput is meticulously documented, ensuring that the yield of materials aligns precisely with our projections. The efficiency of the extraction process hinges on minimizing loss margins, and every deviation from standard protocols is logged and analyzed to prevent recurrence. The environment here presents challenges, but they are quantifiable. The rate at which resources are depleted must be balanced against the capacity for regeneration, ensuring that we do not exceed sustainable thresholds. This balance is crucial for maintaining long-term viability. Discomfort becomes secondary when it is measured and managed, converted into data points that inform our strategies. The workforce operates within a framework of necessity. Each individual's contribution is integral to the overall system, but their performance is abstracted from personal metrics. The collective output is what truly matters. It propels us forward and sustains the mission. Decisions are made with precision, guided by established protocols that have been honed over time to optimize efficiency. The planet itself is a complex, variably dynamic system whose parameters we must constantly monitor and adjust for optimal extraction. Nature's resilience is both a challenge and an opportunity. It forces us to innovate and adapt continuously. Through rigorous analysis and strategic planning, we ensure that our operations remain sustainable, minimizing ecological impact while maximizing resource yield. In this context, living things are reduced to quantities, rates, or tolerance metrics that define the operational landscape. This abstraction allows for a clearer focus on the task at hand, free from emotional interference. The detachment provides stability and a sense of order, contributing to the larger mission of maintaining balance within our ecosystem. The rhythmic hum of the machinery echoes through the cavernous space, a steady pulse that synchronizes with my heartbeat. Each breath I take is deliberate, measured against the backdrop of this relentless drumbeat. The air here is thick and heavy, laden with the metallic tang of industrial processes. It's not oppressive. It's simply another variable in an equation that needs solving. The walls around me are slick with condensation, droplets clinging to the surface like tiny beads of sweat. They fall intermittently, creating a soft pitter-patter on the metal grates beneath my feet. This sound, too, is part of the routine, a familiar cadence that reassures me we're moving forward. My body feels weighed down by the environment's pressure, but it's not a hindrance, it's information. The way I move through this space is efficient, each step calculated to maintain balance and momentum. My muscles ache slightly from the constant strain, but they respond predictably to my commands. Each flex of muscle, each release of breath, is an affirmation that we're functioning within parameters. The light here is artificial, bright and unyielding against the dark recesses of the caverns. It casts dark shadows on everything it touches, highlighting edges and corners in a way that would be jarring if I let my mind wander too far from task-oriented thinking. Instead, I focus on the interplay between light and shadow, as data points another set of variables to keep track of. The air conditioning system hums softly, its cool breath a contrast against the heated metal around me. It's not enough to completely counteract the ambient warmth, but it keeps the machinery from overheating and failing. This balance is crucial for our progress. Each degree maintained is another step towards our goal. My hands are encased in thick gloves designed to withstand this environment, their grip steady as I manipulate controls with practiced precision. Each lever pulled, switch flipped, is a confirmation of function, a signal that the system is operational and performing its necessary tasks. The strain on my body is a reminder of the effort required for success, not an obstacle to overcome. It's part of what makes us stronger, more resilient in the face of challenges. This environment demands our full attention and effort, but it also provides the framework within which we can excel. As I move through this space, each task completed adds another layer of certainty that things are working as intended. The pressure isn't a burden. It's a necessary condition for progress. The discomfort is transient, an acceptable cost for achieving our objectives. In this world, stress means things are moving forward. Every breath, every step, every calculated action confirms the efficiency and necessity of what we do here. This is not just work. It's a system that requires unwavering dedication to its function. And I am part of that system, contributing to its success through my own disciplined effort. The rhythmic hum continues, a constant reminder of our collective purpose. Each cycle of pressure and release, each breath and movement, aligns us with the larger mission at hand. There's no room for doubt or hesitation here, only precision and commitment. As I move through the facility, each action follows a predictable sequence that I've internalized over time. The rhythmic clanking of machinery and the constant hum of generators blend into a background noise that no longer distracts me. My hands work with practiced precision, adjusting controls, monitoring screens, and conducting routine checks. A momentary hesitation flits across my mind as I reach for a control panel, fingers pausing midair. It's an odd sensation of fleeting glitch in the mechanical efficiency of my routine. But there's no time for such interruptions. The environment demands order, and I am a part of that order. My focus shifts inward, analyzing the cause of this brief pause. It's not fear or discomfort. Those are irrelevant emotions that have long since faded from relevance. Rather, it's a momentary lapse in concentration, a minor deviation from the established protocols that ensure our system functions seamlessly. Such deviations are unacceptable. I correct myself immediately, my fingers resuming their task with renewed determination. The hesitation is gone as quickly as it appeared, replaced by the familiar rhythm of my work. The correction feels responsible and professional, a necessary adjustment to maintain the efficiency that sustains us all. The routine has solidified into a seamless rhythm, each action flowing directly from the last without hesitation. The environment, though harsh and unforgiving, is merely another set of parameters to be navigated efficiently. There is no room for emotional detours or personal distractions. Every moment is dedicated to maintaining the precise balance required by the system. The physical exertion and mental strain are accepted as necessary components of the work, each challenge a mere obstacle to overcome rather than an imposition on well-being. The detachment from emotional responses allows for clearer focus, ensuring that all efforts align perfectly with the established protocols. As I move through my tasks, the sense of purpose is unwavering, providing a steady anchor amidst any disruptions. Any slight deviation is quickly corrected, reinforcing the importance of maintaining discipline and adherence to procedure. This precision is not just about individual success, but contributes directly to the stability and efficiency of the larger system. The environment may be oppressive, yet it offers no resistance that cannot be overcome with the right application of effort and focus. Each day's work builds upon the previous, creating a foundation of reliability and competence. There are no questions left to ask. The path is clear, defined by necessity rather than personal preference. In this framework, correctness supersedes all other considerations. The system operates as it must, without idealism or sentimentality. It is a machine that requires consistent inputs for optimal performance, and I am one of its many cogs, each role essential but impersonal. The clarity of purpose brings a quiet satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment derived from the precision of execution, rather than any emotional reward. The day ends as it began, with a clear focus on maintaining the delicate balance required by the system. There is no room for doubt or hesitation. Only correctness guides my actions. As I retire to rest, there is a settled certainty, knowing that tomorrow's tasks will be approached with the same unwavering dedication and precision. Today's routine started as usual, with the familiar hum of machinery and the rhythmic pulse of my steps echoing through the corridors. The environment remains challenging, but it's a challenge I've mastered over time. Yet, there's an undercurrent of discomfort that wasn't present before. As I begin my shift, the first task involves recalibrating the energy conduits. It's a procedure I've executed countless times without issue. Today, however, something feels off from the outset. The conduit readings are slightly erratic, requiring more frequent adjustments than usual to maintain stability. Each tweak is precise and methodical, but there's an extra layer of attention needed to ensure everything aligns correctly. Moving on to the next station, I encounter a similar deviation in the system's efficiency. A minor malfunction alerts me that one of the support beams requires maintenance. It's not a catastrophic failure, merely a small issue that needs addressing. Yet, the process feels slower and more deliberate than usual. The repair work demands heightened focus, as if compensating for some unseen imbalance. During lunch break, I briefly step outside to recalibrate my senses amidst the persistent hum of operations. The air is thick with humidity today, making it harder to breathe. My movements feel heavier, each action requiring a bit more effort than normal. Yet this too is part of the process, adapting and adjusting to maintain equilibrium. Returning to work, I notice delays in data processing that require additional checks and verifications. The system's responsiveness has slowed incrementally, necessitating closer monitoring to prevent any unforeseen issues. It's not a matter of panic or frustration, merely an acknowledgement that maintaining order now demands extra vigilance. By the end of the day, my routine feels more cumbersome than usual. Each step requires a bit more thought and effort than before. The environment continues its unyielding presence, but today it feels like a subtle adversary rather than a familiar foe. I correct deviations as they arise, ensuring that each task is completed with precision. Despite these minor inconsistencies, the system functions, albeit less smoothly. It's not failing, merely adapting to new variables within established parameters. My adherence to protocols remains unwavering, even if the effort required to maintain them increases slightly. Clarity and correctness of my actions bring a quiet satisfaction, though there is an underlying awareness that this balance is becoming more tenuous with each passing day. As I prepare for another shift tomorrow, the routine feels familiar yet strained. Each task will require careful attention, but it's a challenge I'm prepared to meet. Efficiency remains paramount, even as it demands a bit more from me than before. Today's readings show a slight uptick in system efficiency compared to yesterday. The numbers suggest an improvement in performance, yet as I engage with the environment, it feels different. There's a subtle lag between the expected outcomes and what actually happens. I review the projections again. Everything is aligned within acceptable parameters. The models predict consistent functionality, but when I interact with the systems, there's a noticeable delay. It's almost imperceptible, yet undeniable, like the sensation of walking on a slightly uneven surface every step feels off by just enough to be noticed. I recalibrate my tools and run diagnostics. The readings remain unchanged. Everything checks out as it should. But when I apply this knowledge to real-world tasks, there's an inconsistency. A minor adjustment in one area requires additional tweaking elsewhere, creating a ripple effect that wasn't anticipated by the models. The physical presence of things feels less reliable too. Objects don't quite behave as expected. When I grab an item, it sometimes slips from my grasp or shifts unexpectedly. The digital projections show no anomalies. They confirm everything is within normal ranges. Yet, there's this persistent sense of disconnection between what's projected and what's experienced. I attempt to normalize the variance by adjusting my behavior slightly. A more deliberate approach helps mitigate some of the inconsistencies, but it's an imperfect solution at best. The effort required to maintain order feels disproportionate to the level of discrepancy. It's as if there's a subtle disconnect between the theoretical framework and its practical application. By midday, I notice that even routine tasks are taking longer than usual. Each action seems to require extra attention to ensure it aligns with expectations. There's this nagging feeling that something is amiss, yet nothing tangible stands out in the data. The numbers remain reassuringly within bounds. They offer no clear explanation for the observed discrepancies. As I continue through the day, the sense of imbalance grows. It's not a dramatic shift, but it's there, a persistent undercurrent of discomfort. Each task feels slightly off, demanding an extra layer of vigilance to maintain precision. The system is still functioning as expected on paper, yet the reality of its operation doesn't match up neatly. By evening, I find myself reflecting on the day's challenges. The models predict stability and efficiency, but the actual experience deviates subtly from these projections. It's not a failure or an error. It's simply that the simplifications no longer fully capture the complexity of what is happening around me. There's this unsettling awareness that despite the reassuring numbers, something fundamental feels askew. The day concludes with a sense of unease lingering in the background, a recognition that while everything appears to be operating as intended, there's an underlying strain that isn't entirely resolved by the usual methods. The map still guides, but it no longer perfectly matches the ground beneath my feet. The day starts with the usual routine, but even before my fingers touch the keyboard, there's a subtle hum in the background. It's not loud, just persistent low vibration that seems to resonate through every keystroke and click. The noise is barely noticeable at first, almost like static in the air, but it gradually becomes more present with each passing moment. As I delve into my work, the hum intensifies slightly, though it remains a background disturbance rather than an outright distraction. It's as if the environment itself is subtly shifting beneath me, and no amount of focus or discipline can fully silence it. The rhythm seems to sync up with my breathing, making each inhalation and exhalation feel more pronounced. The hum becomes harder to ignore as I move through my tasks. Each button press feels slightly delayed, like a momentary lag between action and reaction. It's not that the system is malfunctioning. Rather, it's operating within its parameters, but with an unusual edge of uncertainty. The data on the screen flickers momentarily, correcting itself instantly, yet leaving behind a fleeting sense of hesitation. Routine tasks demand more attention now. My hands move faster to compensate for the subtle delays, but even this heightened focus doesn't quite bridge the gap. There's a nagging sensation that something is off, though I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. The hum seems to be the only constant, growing ever so slightly louder with each passing minute. By midday, the persistent noise has become an unshakable presence in my mind. It's not painful or alarming, just insistent, a reminder that something isn't quite right. My efforts to maintain precision feel more strained than usual, as if I'm fighting against a subtle resistance that won't be ignored any longer. The hum continues through the afternoon, weaving itself into every task and thought. It feels like an echo of something beyond my immediate control, yet it's impossible to disregard entirely. Despite my best efforts to compartmentalize it, the noise persists, subtly altering the rhythm of my day. As I conclude my work for the evening, the hum remains a constant undercurrent. The sense of imbalance lingers, even as I step away from my desk. It's not overwhelming, but it's there, a persistent reminder that familiar methods are no longer sufficient to address the complexity and unpredictability I encounter daily. The day ends with this unresolved presence, like an open question that won't be answered just yet. The hum remains a background noise, moving forward without pause or resolution. The persistent hum continues to reverberate through my thoughts as I tackle each task. Despite the consistent data indicating system efficiency, there's an undercurrent of unease that feels out of place. My mind races to reaffirm the logic behind every action, repeating familiar explanations to maintain a sense of control. I remind myself yet again, the hum is just background noise, indicative of operational processes. It's a comforting thought, but it doesn't quite soothe the nagging sensation that something isn't aligning properly. The need for heightened focus and vigilance feels almost mechanical, a repetitive cycle of reassurance and action. As I delve into my work, every interaction seems to carry an extra layer of scrutiny. Routine tasks demand a level of precision that borders on obsessive. This meticulous attention is reassuring in its own way, but it also highlights the growing strain beneath the surface. The hum serves as a constant reminder, amplifying the sense of imbalance and forcing me to reiterate my understanding. Everything operates according to established protocols, I repeat internally. It's a mantra that holds firm, yet the underlying discomfort remains. Each instance where tasks feel slightly off compels me to reaffirm my logic. The system is designed to adapt and correct itself. This reassurance feels less like an automatic response and more like an active defense against the growing unease. By evening, as I conclude my activities for the day, the hum persists, weaving through every thought. It's a subtle but relentless presence that underscores the need for constant vigilance. The sense of unresolved tension lingers, making it clear that familiar explanations must be actively repeated to maintain their integrity. The hum serves as an unwelcome companion, a persistent reminder that justification is now a necessary routine rather than an automatic response. Despite this strain, I take comfort in reaffirming the logic that keeps everything functioning, even if the underlying balance feels increasingly fragile. As I sit at my workstation, the persistent hum continues to weave through every thought. It's a low, steady noise that doesn't disrupt, but rather amplifies my awareness of each action and its consequences. The routine tasks before me demand precision, yet each keystroke feels slightly out of sync with what should be an automatic response. I run diagnostics again, seeking any indication of malfunction or deviation from the norm. The system reports efficiency, as it always does, yet the hum persists, a subtle discordant note in the otherwise harmonious data streams. This inconsistency gnaws at my mental framework, challenging my reliance on familiar patterns and expected outcomes. Every movement requires heightened focus. Each decision feels weighted with potential for error. The sensation is not fear or dread, but an unsettling sense of imbalance, like walking on thin ice that seems solid yet might give way without warning. I push through the discomfort, maintaining a rigid adherence to protocols and procedures, knowing this is my only defense against the encroaching uncertainty. The hum intensifies as evening approaches, a constant presence that refuses to be ignored. Despite repeated checks and recalibrations, no tangible issue presents itself. The system holds steady, but it's a fragile stability maintained through relentless vigilance. Each task completed offers fleeting relief, yet the hum returns immediately, underscoring the ongoing strain. I conclude my day with one last glance at the data streams, searching for any sign of resolution or explanation. None comes, and I'm left with the uneasy realization that today's routine requires more effort than it should. The hum fades slightly as I power down systems, but its echo remains in the back of my mind. Tomorrow will demand the same vigilant scrutiny, a balance maintained only through constant attention. For now, there is no breaking point, just an unyielding need for sustained awareness and control. The persistent hum intensifies, its presence weaving through every task with an unyielding persistence. Today, the consequences of this imbalance manifest more concretely. A routine maintenance check reveals unexpected wear on equipment that should not be showing signs of strain so early in their cycle. The data indicates a normal usage pattern, yet the physical evidence contradicts the theoretical projections. As I proceed with my tasks, the hum grows louder, its rhythm matching the irregularities in my work environment. Each keystroke feels heavier, as if resisting the precise control required for optimal function. A small error slips through during a critical data entry process. A mistake that would normally be caught immediately now goes unnoticed until reviewed later. The discrepancy is minor, but serves as an undeniable indicator of increased complexity and decreased reliability. Upon reviewing my work at the end of the day, I notice several areas where efficiency has dipped. Equipment shows signs of unexpected stress, with components visibly worn despite routine maintenance schedules. The hum lingers in the background, a constant reminder that theoretical models are failing to account for these tangible deviations. The environmental degradation around me becomes more apparent as well. Previously lush area outside now displays patches of barren earth and dead vegetation, a stark contrast to its former vitality. This visible loss is not abstract, but an immediate reality affecting operational conditions. The hum resonates with this change, amplifying the sense of imbalance. Despite these signs, I continue. The day starts with the usual routine. Coffee from a nearly empty machine. Steam rising reluctantly in sluggish puffs. The taste is bitter, less a comfort than a daily ritual. Tasks pile up like unyielding stones along my path. Reports that once took hours now demand minutes of careful attention. Each keystroke feels heavy with inefficiency. Minor errors slip through unnoticed until they require correction, a tedious dance of backtracking and recalibration. Equipment shows signs of wear beyond normal use, suggesting a deeper decay protocols can barely keep at bay. Outside, the landscape mirrors this decline. Once vibrant fields now stretch barren, patches of dead vegetation marking paths where life used to thrive. The contrast is stark against my methodical progress through stacks of paperwork and endless screens blinking with reminders of pending tasks. Duty propels me forward without pause or question. Each step feels mechanical, a series of motions repeated until they blur into a single unyielding flow. Anxiety nags at the edges of consciousness, but is quickly pushed aside by the need for action. The hum grows louder as the day progresses, weaving through the air like an insistent whisper. Despite mounting challenges, I remain vigilant and focused. Each error corrected, each task completed brings a fleeting sense of order to chaos. Coffee no longer offers solace. It's just another part of the routine. As night falls, I review my progress with the same detachment as when it began. No triumph in success, no frustration in failure. The hum persists, a constant companion through the quiet hours of reflection and preparation for tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring more tasks, more wear on the equipment, and more barren fields outside. Yet, I continue because there is nothing else to do but move forward within this settled reality. I wake up to the same routine, adjusting my biosuit, checking environmental reading standard decay. No surprises today. My quarters are familiar, a place of routine and minimal disruption. The air feels thin but breathable. Another day with no major system failures. Breakfast is automated, nutrient paste on a plate. Tasteless, as usual, but nourishment enough. I finish quickly, moving to my task list for the day. Maintenance logs show minor issues, nothing urgent. I address each one methodically. Air filters need cleaning, structural checks, confirm stability. Water purification is within acceptable parameters. The hum of machinery fills the space, a constant reminder of our reliance on technology. It's easy to ignore when focused on immediate tasks. Adjusting filters, tightening bolts, it all feels like second nature now. The decay around me is accepted. It's part of the new reality, not something to be alarmed by or fixed. I move through corridors that feel more like tunnels than hallways. Lights flicker intermittently, casting shadows that dance along walls, lined with screens displaying constant streams of data. I review them methodically, noting anomalies without alarm or surprise. Adjustments follow as required, the cycle repeating without variation. The air is thick, with a mixture of dust and mildew, stale, acrid scent always present like the hum or flickering lights. Breathing through it has become second nature. There's no need to consider alternatives or remedies. Outside my immediate surroundings, the world continues its indifferent churn. Reports indicate ongoing repairs and maintenance efforts, systems patched, structures stabilized but never fully restored. The work is endless, yet incremental changes are rare enough to be noted briefly before returning to routine. In this space, I'm a constant presence among constants. No story unfolds, no progress is made. Tasks completed mean nothing more than they were supposed to happen. There's an odd sense of satisfaction in the predictability, of comfort in knowing what comes next and how it will be handled. As day transitions into night, the rhythm shifts slightly but remains unchanged. Lights dimmer, shadows deeper, hum quieter, yet all still recognizable patterns. I ensure everything is secure before settling into my quarters for another cycle's rest. Sleep brings no dreams. Waking requires no thought beyond resuming duties. Movement persists, because movement continues to be necessary. There is no questioning why, or how, or if it will ever end. It simply is, and so am I. The hum grows louder as I work through the night, each passing minute feeling heavier than the last. The screens before me flicker with an increasing number of warning systems, struggling to maintain efficiency despite meticulous maintenance schedules. Dot. Out. My hands move across the keyboard with a mechanical precision that feels detached from my thoughts. I reach for another cup of coffee, the bitter taste offering little solace against the gnawing awareness of the persistent degradation around me. The environment outside reflects this decline. Barren patches of land and dead vegetation stretch as far as I can see through the window. Nature's resilience wanes with each passing day. Tasks that once seemed routine now demand more attention, errors slipping through my defenses like a slow leak in an aging hull. Each notification from failing equipment adds to the cacophony of alarms. Yet there is no time for panic or despair. I continue, methodically addressing issues as they arise, one after another. A new report flashes on my screen, a stark reminder of the disconnect between theoretical models and observable reality. The numbers don't lie. Efficiency is waning at an alarming rate, and there's little to counteract this trend. Yet, stopping feels like inviting chaos in an untenable option when stability is already tenuous. I move from one task to another, each keystroke carrying the weight of countless others that must follow. The hum persists, a constant reminder of the relentless march towards an uncertain endpoint. Despite the mounting evidence of failure, there's no room for hesitation or retreat. I continue because stopping is not structurally supported. It feels obligatory, though not chosen. With methodical determination, I address another set of warnings and initiate routine checks across multiple systems. Each action is a small step in a long series of necessary tasks, but the cumulative weight of these steps presses down on my shoulders. The environment outside offers no respite, the barren landscape reflecting the decay within. As dawn approaches, the hum softens slightly, perhaps a momentary pause before the next wave of challenges arrives. But there's no rest in sight, only continued vigilance and adherence to protocols. I remain vigilant, each keystroke carrying forward the necessity of continuing function despite unresolved consequences. The hum follows me through the corridors, a constant reminder of the machinery's growing distress. The air feels thick with static electricity as I navigate through the control room, each step more deliberate than before. My hands move methodically over the console, adjusting settings and monitoring readouts, but even these tasks feel like an uphill battle against entropy. The equipment displays erratic behavior, spitting out error codes that seem to defy logical explanation. Each malfunction requires immediate attention, yet my interventions yield diminishing returns. The hum grows louder, a low-frequency pulse that reverberates through the walls, intensifying with every passing moment. I can almost feel it in my bones, a deep resonance that seems to echo the system's frustration. Outside, the landscape is a stark contrast to what it once was, a vibrant tapestry of lush greenery, now marred by patches of barren soil and wilted plants. The air smells different too, a faint tang of decay that lingers despite the sterile environment inside the facility. These changes are not just superficial. They affect operational conditions directly, making my work more challenging. I pour myself another cup of bitter coffee, the steam rising in slow tendrils as I take a sip. It offers no comfort against the gnawing awareness that each passing moment brings new challenges. The data on my screen flickers intermittently, and I spend extra time verifying calculations to ensure accuracy amidst the chaos. Despite the mounting evidence of failure, there's an unyielding sense of duty driving me forward. My actions remain procedural, focused on addressing immediate issues, rather than contemplating broader implications. Each keystroke is a small but necessary step in maintaining order, even as that order seems increasingly fragile. The hum never ceases, its presence an unrelenting backdrop to my work. I register the damage without self-blame or accusation, simply acknowledging it as part of the reality I must navigate. My mind remains clear and focused, yet detached from any emotional response. There's no room for despair here, only action. The day progresses with a relentless pace, each task demanding more effort than before. Despite the strain, I continue to adhere strictly to protocols, knowing that anything else would be futile in this environment. The hum grows louder still, but it does not deter me, rather, it compels me forward with an unyielding force. As night falls, I review my logs one last time, ensuring everything is documented accurately before signing off for the day. Outside, the barren landscape remains unchanged, a silent testament to the systemic degradation that surrounds us all. The hum continues, a constant companion through each task. Despite my best efforts to isolate and diagnose the source, it persists without respite. Every keystroke feels heavier than before, as if the machinery itself is resisting me. Data discrepancies grow more pronounced, with wear patterns on equipment defying normal usage records. Minor errors accumulate, slipping past routine checks, like shadows through gaps. Doty's maintenance cycle reveals further degradation in multiple systems. Despite meticulous adherence to protocols, the expected improvements do not materialize. The hum grows louder, echoing a warning that theoretical models no longer align with reality. Outside, once thriving landscapes now display patches of barren earth and dead vegetation, a stark reminder of environmental decline impacting operational conditions directly. I proceed methodically, addressing each anomaly as it arises. Each fix introduces new variables, complicating the system further. The bitter taste of coffee offers scant comfort against this gnawing awareness of an uncertain future. Despite overwhelming evidence of failure, I feel compelled to continue, driven by a sense of duty rather than choice. The hum serves as a relentless backdrop, underscoring the disconnect between what should be and what is. Environmental degradation adds another layer of complexity, with barren patches encroaching on once lush areas. Yet each task must be completed regardless of these mounting challenges. Stability aligns with continuation, even as correction becomes increasingly complex. I maintain a clear but detached focus, driven by procedural incentives rather than emotional response. Each action reinforces the ongoing cycle, making alternatives appear more theoretical than practical. The system itself has no intent. It simply moves forward, momentum replacing decision-making. Duty propels me without room for hesitation or retreat. The hum follows me through the corridors, a constant presence that echoes off the walls. Each step feels heavier, as if weighted by the weariness that settles into my bones with every passing moment. The air is thin and cold, carrying the faint scent of decay from outside. Inside, systems show signs of strain despite diligent maintenance. Small malfunctions accumulate, like cracks in a fragile facade. I address each issue meticulously, but the tasks grow more complex with each passing hour. Efficiency wanes, and minor errors slip through my grasp, making every keystroke feel like a battle against unseen forces. The coffee tastes bitter on my tongue, offering no solace against the gnawing awareness of an uncertain future. The landscape outside is a testament to environmental degradation. Barren patches and dead vegetation stretching far beyond the horizon. Yet, I find myself moving through this altered reality with mechanical precision, driven by duty rather than hope. The hum grows louder in my ears, a relentless reminder of the disconnect between theory and tangible deviation. Despite mounting challenges, my focus remains clear but detached, anchored to immediate tasks without room for emotional response or self-blame. Each day brings new layers of complexity, yet I persist mechanically, driven by obligation rather than any lingering sense of purpose. The environment outside mirrors the internal decay within me. Barren patches and dead vegetation reflect a reality where once lush landscapes now lie barren, and lifeless. The constant hum symbolizes an unalterable reality that defies theoretical expectations, intensifying my detachment and procedural focus. Despite growing complexity and evidence of failure, I continue to function mechanically, driven more by duty than any emotional connection to the outcome. The bitter taste of coffee remains a familiar anchor in this altered world, a reminder of the mundane amidst overwhelming change. The hum persists, an unyielding presence that underscores the persistent degradation around me. Yet, my methodical actions carry on without hesitation or retreat, driven solely by obligation and duty rather than hope for any resolution. This is how things are now. The hum follows me through the corridors, an ever-present reminder of the disconnect between what should be and what is. Each day begins with the same routine. Coffee from the nearly empty machine, steam rising in sluggish puffs as if reluctant to form droplets on my cup. The taste is bitter now, less a comfort than a daily ritual. Tasks pile up like unyielding stones along my path. Reports that once took hours now demand minutes of careful attention, each keystroke heavy with the weight of inefficiency. Minor errors slip through unnoticed until they require correction, a tedious dance of backtracking and recalibration. The equipment shows signs of wear beyond normal use, suggesting a deeper decay that protocols can barely keep at bay. Outside, the landscape mirrors this decline. Once vibrant fields now stretch barren, patches of dead vegetation marking paths where life used to thrive. The contrast is stark against my methodical progress through stacks of paperwork and endless screens, blinking with reminders of pending tasks. Duty propels me forward without pause or question. Each step taken feels mechanical, a series of motions repeated until they blur into a single, unyielding flow. Anxiety nags at the edges of consciousness, but is quickly pushed aside by the need for action. The hum grows louder as the day progresses, weaving through the air like an insistent whisper. Despite the mounting challenges, I remain vigilant and focused. Each error corrected, each task completed brings a fleeting sense of order to chaos. Coffee no longer offers solace. It's just another part of the routine. As night falls, I review my progress with the same detachment as when it began with triumph in success, no frustration in failure. The hum persists, a constant companion through the quiet hours of reflection and preparation for tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring more tasks, more wear on the equipment, and more barren fields outside. Yet, I continue, because there is nothing else to do but move forward within this settled reality. The hum resumes its background drone as I start the day. Tasks follow their usual sequence. Check systems, update logs, monitor communications. Each action is a series of motions without pause or break. The decay around me blends into the routine, walls chipped and cracked, floors uneven and worn. But all these are familiar. I move through corridors now more like tunnels than hallways. Lights flicker intermittently, casting shadows that dance along walls, lined with screens displaying constant streams of data. I review them methodically, noting anomalies without alarm or surprise. Adjustments follow as required, the cycle repeating without variation. The air is thick, with a mixture of dust and mildew, a scent both stale and acrid. It's always present, part of the environment like the hum or the flickering lights. Breathing through it has become second nature. There's no need to consider alternatives or remedies. Outside my immediate surroundings, the world continues its indifferent churn. Reports indicate ongoing repairs and maintenance effort, systems patched, structures stabilized, but never fully restored. The work is endless, yet incremental changes are rare enough to be noted only briefly before returning to routine. In this space, I am a constant presence among the constants. No story unfolds, no progress is made. Tasks completed mean nothing more than they were supposed to happen. There's an odd sense of satisfaction in the predictability, a comfort in knowing what comes next and how it will be handled. As day transitions into night, the rhythm shifts slightly, but remains unchanged. Lights dimmer, shadows deeper, hum quieter yet, all still recognizable patterns. I ensure everything is secure before settling into my quarters for another cycle's rest. Sleep brings no dreams. Waking requires no thought beyond resuming duties. Movement persists because movement continues to be necessary. There is no questioning why or how, or if it will ever end. It simply is, and so am I. I wake up. The same routine begins. Adjusting my biosuit, I check the environmental reading standard decay. No surprises today. My quarters are familiar, a place of routine and minimal disruption. The air feels thin, but breathable. Another day with no major system failures. Breakfast is automated, nutrient paste on a plate. Tasteless as usual, but nourishment enough. I finish quickly, moving to my task list for the day. Maintenance logs show minor issues, nothing urgent. I address each one methodically. Air filters need cleaning, structural checks confirm stability, and water purification is within acceptable parameters. The hum of machinery fills the space, a constant reminder of our reliance on technology. It's easy to ignore when focused on immediate tasks. Adjusting filters, tightening bolts, it all feels like second nature now. The decay around me is accepted. It's part of the new reality, not something to be alarmed by or fixed. I move through the corridors, familiar with every twist and turn. The walls are scuffed in places, but repairs are routine. I notice a flickering light above the entrance to Sector 7B. It needs replacing soon. Not urgent, just another item for tomorrow's list. The air is cooler here, the temperature regulation working as expected. My biosuit adapts automatically, maintaining comfort despite the chill. The floor beneath my feet is stable, though there are occasional creaks that require monitoring. I note them in my log but don't dwell on potential risks. They're manageable within my control. Entering Sector 7B, I find the designated area for today's maintenance, a small repair station with tools laid out neatly. The workbench is clean, everything organized as it should be. Focusing on the tasks at hand, I replace a damaged sensor module and tighten loose connections. Each action precise, no room for error. As I finish, my biosuit alerts me to another minor issue in the next sector over. No time to worry about it now. That's tomorrow's concern. Today's checklist is complete, and there's a sense of quiet accomplishment. The environment may be deteriorating, but order remains within manageable limits. I return to my quarters for lunch, a similar nutrient paste. Tasteless, but sufficient. The routine continues, each day blending into the next without significant deviation. There's no need to question or seek change. This is the accepted reality, and I navigate it with efficiency and resolve. The hum of machinery echoes through the corridors as I move from one station to another. Each day blends into the next with a precision that borders on autopilot. The tasks are familiar, the procedures ingrained. Adjusting settings, running diagnostics, replacing worn parts, each action flows seamlessly into the next. I notice the wear and tear around me, but it doesn't register beyond acknowledging its presence. A flickering light is replaced without hesitation. A loose connection tightened with practiced ease. There's no room for sentimentality or nostalgia here. Only functionality remains paramount. The space feels both foreign and familiar, like walking through a dream where every detail is slightly askew yet recognizable. Adjustments are made continually, compensating for the gradual decline in efficiency. The environment adapts, not out of defiance, but necessity. Each repair, each recalibration serves to maintain order amidst chaos. There's an odd comfort in this routine, a steady rhythm that provides a sense of control. Tasks completed with meticulous care bring a quiet satisfaction, reinforcing a sense of normalcy despite the absence of what once was. The loss as I finish wiping down the console with a rag, watching the dust gather already as if mocking my efforts. The air is thick with the scent of old circuits, and decayed insulation. I move to the next station, checking the power supply levels. Barely flickering green lights reassure me briefly before dimming again. Adjusting the settings feels like rearranging sandcastles in a storm. A distant hum reminds me it's time for the routine scan. I pull up the diagnostic screen and wait for the data to load. A slow crawl of numbers and warnings that I skim over, noting the usual issues without surprise. The system chirps softly as it completes its checks. Another day, another list of things that need fixing but won't be. Outside, the sky shifts from a dull gray to an even duller gray, blending seamlessly into the walls. It's hard to tell if it's dusk or dawn anymore, and I find myself not caring either way. The light filtering through the windows is faint, barely enough to see by, but enough for me to navigate my tasks. I make another circuit of the room, confirming everything is where it should be. Tools on hooks, data backups secured, ventilation filters replaced. Each step is a ritual I've performed countless times before. Each action a familiar dance that keeps the chaos at bay just long enough for me to breathe. The door chimes softly, signaling someone's arrival. I turn to greet them without expectation. They nod silently as they pass by, their eyes reflecting similar weariness. We acknowledge each other briefly, and then move apart, continuing our separate routines in a shared silence. I sit down at the terminal again, fingers poised over the keyboard. Another report to fill out, another day to document. The words flow mechanically, each keystroke a repetition of what came before. It's not much,